Today's movie is about a school teacher who suddenly finds herself pregnant. Shockingly, her husband could never father a child. What was the truth behind this? Did her students have something to do with it? We'll uncover the answers to these questions in this story. So, let's dive into the movie. The story begins with a woman named Devika standing in front of a mirror, staring at herself. She's visibly troubled as something happened the previous night that she can't fully comprehend. Fear and unease are evident on her face. Then we see her husband, Sujit, who works as a compounder in a hospital. Sujit notices that Devika's earrings are missing and asks about them. She brushes it off, saying, "I must have kept them somewhere." Sujit leaves for work. After he's gone, Devika returns to the mirror, examining the bruise marks on her arms, which remind her of that fateful night. In the hospital, Sujit meets his friend Kevin. Their conversation reveals that Sujit and Devika have been married for 4 years, but due to some medical issues, Devika hasn't been able to conceive. This is why they frequently visit doctors for checkups. Meanwhile, Devika is a sports teacher at a school. When she arrives at school, the watchman, handing her the sports club keys, remarks, "You looked very nervous yesterday evening." This comment unsettles her further. She goes inside and starts searching for her missing earrings, eventually finding them. Just then, her friend Geeta arrives. Devika tells her that she and Sujit are planning to visit Kalyani Island for a few days. Sujit believed that praying to the island's deity would bless them with a child. The next day, they arrive at Kalyani Island where they meet Sujit's mother, Kalyani. She's a strict woman who has been leading a movement to protect the island for years. Kalyani, along with the locals, has established strict rules and regulations, earning her immense respect from the community. Time passes and Devika and Sujit settle into a happy life. But one day, Devika discovers she's pregnant. The news shocks her and she panics. When she shares this with Geeta, her friend is overjoyed, thinking their prayers have finally been answered after years of waiting. However, Devika is distressed, unable to forget the incident from that night, and she's determined to uncover the truth about what happened. That night, Devika is looking at something on her phone when Sujit enters the room. Glancing at the calendar, he asks, "Did you get your periods this time?" Devika doesn't respond. Sujit is thrilled, convinced that Devika is pregnant this time, but Devika wants to keep the truth hidden for now. She starts searching for teacher-related scandal videos on her phone. Sujit tells her to sleep and she switches off the phone and leaves the room. The next day, Sujit is drinking with Kevin at home, secretly worried that Devika might walk in. Kevin advises him not to let his wife dominate him or be afraid of her. Sujit admits he can't do that. When Kevin asks for a cigarette, Sujit goes to the room to find one and stumbles upon Devika's pregnancy report. Overjoyed, he can't contain his happiness. That night, Sujit asks Devika, "Is there something you want to tell me?" But Devika, troubled, says nothing and tells him to go to sleep. Sujit assumes she's planning to surprise him later, which is why she hasn't shared the news. The next day, Devika sees a wedding invitation for her student Sandeep's brother Akhil on Facebook. She tells Sujit she wants to visit her mother, claiming her mother is unwell. Using the internet, she reaches Sandeep's house, where wedding preparations are in full swing. Sandeep is thrilled to see her, but suddenly, someone throws acid at Akhil and flees. The acid doesn't fully hit him, only grazing his ear. It turns out to be the work of Akhil's ex-girlfriend, upset that he's marrying someone else. Everyone rushes Akhil to the hospital. Later, Sandeep accompanies Devika to the bus stand. On the way, she asks about his friends. Sandeep says that after college, all his friends settled in different places. At the bus stand, Devika deliberately leaves her bag in Sandeep's car and steps out to check the bus. She returns to retrieve it. In reality, she had left her phone in the bag with the recording on. While on the bus, she listens to the recording and learns that Sandeep was talking to his friend Martin. Martin says the investigation into what they did to their teacher, Devika, has restarted, and they're at risk of getting caught. The friend who wronged Devika was Naveen, now living in Kochi. Martin mentions they have Devika's photos and videos, so she can't harm them. Hearing this, Devika breaks down and cries. She searches for Naveen on Facebook and finds he's working as a food delivery agent. At her mother's house, Devika shares the entire incident with her sister Danya. Danya too breaks into tears and encourages Devika to stay strong. Meanwhile, Sujit visits a doctor who informs him that Devika wants to abort the baby. This devastates him, as they were finally going to have a child after years. Devika then meets her father's old friend who used to make bombs. 18 years ago, her father worked on making bombs for breaking mountains. Back home, Sujit angrily confronts Devika about the pregnancy and demands to know why she wants an abortion. In tears, Devika tells him everything. A flashback reveals the incident that shattered Devika's life. A few months earlier, a sports meet was scheduled at school. During this time, some boys from Vivekanand school were hanging out in the sports club hall. All other students had left. Devika asked them to leave, but they tricked her into eating a toffee laced with drugs. She fainted, and Naveen and his friends gang raped her, recording the act. When Devika regained consciousness, she was in a terrible state. Barely conscious, she returned home, which we saw at the story's start with her standing before the mirror, her body marked with wounds from the assault. Hearing this, Sujit is furious and says, "You're carrying who knows whose sin in your womb." He insults her and storms off to the hospital. At the hospital, Sujit tells Kevin everything. Kevin says he had warned Sujit not to give his wife so much freedom. He suggests aborting the child to avoid societal shame. Sujit dismisses this and says he'll talk to Devika directly. The next day, Kevin visits Devika while Kalyani is present. He accuses her of being at fault for what happened and pressures her to get an abortion. Furious, Devika throws him out. That night, she tells Sujit, "Kevin is your friend, not my husband. If you had something to say, you should have said it yourself." Realizing his mistake, Sujit decides to support Devika. At Devika's urging, they go to file a police complaint. But just before entering the station, Sujit stops her, warning that the police will ask humiliating questions, leading to their family's disgrace. Devika realizes Sujit won't stand by her. Angry and disappointed, she returns home. Kalyani consoles her, saying she must now fight her own battle. The next day, Devika leaves Sujit and goes to her mother's house. When Sujit asks Kalyani why she let Devika go, Kalyani angrily says he should have supported his wife but abandoned her out of fear of society. She then leaves him and returns to the island. At the hospital, Sujit is mocked because Kevin spread the news about Devika. Enraged, Sujit beats Kevin. Meanwhile, a boy named Amjad meets Devika. He says years ago the police arrested his father, who wasn't a bad person. Amjad's father was Devika's martial arts guru and had sent her a gift through Amjad. Kalyani sends a policeman named Roy to help Devika. Roy informs her that Naveen is in Kochi. Devika goes to Kochi, meets Naveen, and speaks to him so sweetly that he's drawn to her. Before leaving, she gives him her number and asks him to call her that evening. Devika and Naveen start chatting. She invites him to meet at a lodge the next day. Roy reveals that Kalyani raised him, so he'd do anything for her. Their plan is to lure Naveen to the lodge and eliminate him. Meanwhile, Sujit, regretting his actions, tries calling Devika, but she doesn't answer. Roy gets called away by his senior, so Devika must meet Naveen alone. The lodge is an Oyo hotel frequented by couples. At Naveen's room, he initially tries to get close to her, making Devika nervous, but she stays quiet. Suddenly, Naveen pushes her down. At that moment, his three friends, including Sandeep, arrive. They reveal they know she's been tracking them. Sandeep says they have her videos and threaten to upload them. But they claim they don't want to do that. They just want her to stop pursuing them. Devika pretends to plead, but suddenly locks the door. She pulls out the weapon her guru gave her and attacks them. Thanks to her martial arts training, she beats the boys brutally, injuring them one by one. Sandeep and Martin try to flee in fear, but Roy arrives, stops them, and beats them mercilessly. Devika then places the same bomb her father used for breaking mountains in front of Naveen. With an explosion, her revenge is complete. The story jumps forward to a later scene. Sujit meets Devika and apologizes, but she firmly says she wants to live her life alone now. She reveals she didn't abort the child, as it has become her strength. With this scene, the movie ends. For more stories like this, follow us on Telegram and Instagram. Links are in the description. Comment for the next story.